Hi, Team Run. Coach Alexa here. I'm going to do a little series again, but this time on running and illnesses and health conditions. So now, obviously, there's a huge amount of potential variety out there, and also I am not a medical professional, but I just wanted to share some tips based on experience and some of the research out there to talk about, what to do if you come down with kind of common ailments, or perhaps what to think about if you do have some sort of long-term health stuff going on in the background, and what that means for your running. I think, out of the runners that I work with, there are definitely quite a few people out there. There's a decent percentage of the population that have something health-wise bubbling along in the background. So, it's good to just take a little bit of time to think about what that means for the training that you do. So, starting off with something that's been, impacting a good noticeable percentage of my runners over the last couple of months, and that's respiratory bugs. So here I'm covering everything from colds, flu, through to COVID, and COVID still has a pretty nasty sting in its tail, and for a small number of people can lead to quite a long period of symptoms and sometimes rehabilitation needed. So let's just talk about sort of respiratory bugs at a high level. So they're things where some sort of, usually virus, has got into the lovely sort of warm, damp, humid environment that is our respiratory system. So our nose, our sinuses, our throat, and potentially down into our lungs. So these are bugs that have really been designed themselves or adapted to really enjoying those warm, sort of damp conditions. They tend to linger around a little bit more because of that in the winter. But with the sort of weird ass weather we get these days, thanks climate change, we're getting them more cropping up over the summer now as well, when we have those sort of damper and not quite as hot conditions. So a general rule of thumb is, if you have any sort of respiratory condition, so you've got a snotty nose, or you've got a sore throat, or you've got something on your chest, it's worth changing the training that you do. So say, for example, you might do a speed session in the week, you might be playing around with different paces and things, and we need to knock that on the head. So effectively what we're going to be doing when we're running at higher paces is challenging our respiratory system, particularly our lungs, more. And that's not generally a good thing to do when they're trying to fight off a bug. And it can lead sometimes to some of those bugs, if they're just lingering around in your nose and throat, to be drawn more deeply down into your lungs, where they're a lot harder to shift. If you've just got a bit of a nose cold and a back of the throat tickly cough, then maybe do some easy running if you want to, and if you are feeling fine in the rest of your body. But please don't push the pace at all. Keep things relatively short and all really nice and gentle, easy zone 1 and 2 stuff. If you have anything that is on your chest, so you've got a chesty cough, you've got any kind of crackling, bubbling when you're breathing, you've got that sort of morning cough, where you're having to clear your lungs a little bit when you get up in the morning, then no running. There's not really any point in trying to kind of challenge your lungs. They're very, very delicate, beautifully intricate, but very, very delicate tissue. And challenging them, forcing more air through them, forcing them to work hard while they're still trying to recover and clear out a lot of the liquid that is produced when our body is trying to fight off these bugs with our immune system response, isn't really the best thing to do. All it's going to really mean is it's going to take longer for the lungs to recover, and you're going to be out of training for longer. So better to have a short, sharp, proper, full recovery period where you really rest up, let the body do its work, and then crack on. The other thing to bear in mind, particularly with flus and COVID, if you have any feverish symptoms, temperature, body aches, hot, cold, sort of flushes, that kind of thing, no training at all. You probably won't be feeling up for it, but no training at all. Again, there's no point in challenging yourself when your body's going through all of that immune system response and fighting off a more serious infection. So I hope that's useful. I'll be covering a few different kind of categories of just minor illnesses, so as I say, to longer term health conditions in the coming series. If you've got any ones that you particularly want me to answer or cover, then just pop them in the comments. Happy running.